If you were baffled by the decision from Microsoft to up the prices of all of their Xbox related merchandise, if you didn't think that that made a whole lot of sense, this right here is just simply proof positive that Microsoft isn't really that concerned with staying in the hardware game. They want to make everything in Xbox. That's their marketing campaign. And then this is the first of many dominoes to fall. I don't think over the summer it would be terribly shocking to hear that, hey, the Master Chief Collection, you're going to be able to play that on the Switch too, and you're also going to be able to play it on the PS5 right now, because we're getting a brand new from the ground up remake of the original Gears of War, which honestly, like those first 3 Gears of War games, they're fantastic. Now, obviously, they were a big impetus for all of those stupid games journalists, which thankfully that industry is very much on its knees right now, and that's about the only way that they can turn a profit now, is in what they can do on their knees. But how they categorize the Xbox 360, the PS3 era as simply being, a brown setting and big muscly guys with guns, and how that's so terribly uncreative. Like the story that was told, especially the story of Dom, oh my god, and how that culminated in Gears of War 2 is just, that still sends shivers up my spines. You can't see goosebumps on my arms, but I actually have them right now. I know that sounds cringe, but yeah, just thinking about that, like that's a story that still resonates to this very day. And there were a couple of other of those big muscly guys with gun games. Like, does anybody remember Bulletstorm? Okay, like that was another great game that was out there. But yeah, that whole genre, that whole subgenre that defined that Xbox 360 PS3 era, that caught way more slack, has way more memorable games than what we are currently wading through right now. The side shave chick with the bow, like how long has that been going on for? And that is still being pushed time and time again. Thank God that there are some, breakthroughs in the indie genre, because for the couple of years where you had, the Gears of War likes, the Halo clones that were out there, that whole girl boss genre, that shit has been going on tenfold longer than anything that could be perceived as hyper masculine. But just go ahead and compare and contrast how well those Gears games sold, those first 3 that came out, and compare them to the legacy of any of those other girl boss side shave simulators have done. But I digress here. Let's talk about Gears of War Reloaded, which honestly, actually, by just the simple fact that I have Gears of War Ultimate Edition, I'm pretty sure I have it on PC. I know I definitely have it on like Xbox, what was that, One or something like that? Ended up getting a free copy, and I think I have it on through the Microsoft store or something like that. So I might actually get that for free, because that's one thing that is awesome right here. Okay, Xbox, I got to give you credit where credit is due on this one, where you have other companies, Switch, I think, is most perverse when it comes to their upgrade program, where they're going to go ahead and charge you $10 for something that might run a little bit better. I don't know. Not really doing too many from the ground up improvements. But Sony, when the PS5 was brand new, they were offering a bunch of, hey, buy the PS4 version, and then you could just have the PS5 version whenever you can get your hands on the product. Like, that was cool. They charged an upgrade fee for some of them, but you had market improvements. Not exactly a wonderful system, but that's all right. I would much rather consider this to be the standard, and the fact that they aren't charging for, a game that was released, oh lord, that was a while ago. Ultimate Edition first came out, but they're getting that for free. That also leans into the fact that Microsoft and Xbox wants to become a software company, not a hardware company, because it's coming out August 26th, so reasonably quick turnaround. $40, which is good, which is very good. It's for a game that, for the campaign itself, don't know if it's going to have multiplayer with crossplay / progression. So are you going to have online co-op? Like, that could be awesome as well, because that was another big selling factor for Gears of War, because its co-op campaign was fantastic. Again, another aspect of, FPSs and, third-person shooters in the case of Gears that just, fell by the wayside. A huge selling feature of the Halo series, which, no, according to Halo Studios, no, the reason that people really liked Halo back in the cut was because of cutting-edge visuals. Fucking hate that shit. God, they're so stupid. Hopefully this is a sign of great things to come, because we could potentially, and I think later this year, obviously, when Microsoft either holds their own press conference or makes some announcements that Jeff Keighley, so even though he's definitely a Sony pony, makes some announcements at the Summer Games Fest, especially with the big gap in the market now that GTA 6 isn't going to be coming out in 2025. It's been pushed out to 2026. We might be seeing something on Gears of War E-Day, which, if it is more of a throwback, and it's definitely going to be telling the story about Dom and Marcus, That could be good. I would be looking forward to that, which couple that with Doom the Dark Ages, which comes out later this month, okay? For the first time in a long time, I can earnestly say I'm looking forward to more first-party Xbox titles than I am with, well, just about anybody else in the industry. So let's get into some of the specifics, shall we? Gears of War is finally coming to PlayStation. Yeah, Microsoft has announced Gears of War Reloaded, a complete remaster of the original game from 2006. I was right, okay. Built from the ground up. The game is being developed by the Coalition, okay, in partnership with Disbelief and Sumo Interactive. Ooh, Sumo's worked on some stuff before. I think they've done a couple of remakes and remasters, okay, but Disbelief, that doesn't ring any bells. But the Coalition, kind of like Halo Studios and the former 343 Studios, yeah, they were made in order to, specifically look over the Halo IP. The Coalition has been made to properly look over the Gears of War IP, which has actually fared better because at least I have heard people have enjoyed, what was that, Gears 4, and I hear mixed things about 5, and, well, the fact that they're just running back for a prequel for their next installment, like, okay, well, whatever. But anyways, at least they have our upward trajectory. They have a future at hand. Halo, on the other hand, I mean, I think we're probably still waiting for... Oh God, I can't believe that we're, moving towards an anniversary edition for Halo 3. Are we ever going to get that? Or is that just going to be another expansion to the Master Chief Collection, which I could very much see being on PlayStation before the end of the year? But let's continue to talk about Gears. Launching August 26, 2025. Reloaded will be available, yes, $40 via, on launch for the Series X and S, PS5, PC, and Game Pass. The game will also be available via Xbox Cloud Gaming. It's about the stories we've told, the friendships we've built, and the unforgettable moments we've shared together, the Coalition studio head Mike Crump said. With Gears of War Reloaded, we're opening the door to more players than ever. Reloaded will feature 4K up to 120 FPS. The game will also support crossplay, progression on all platforms. Shit. Regarding crossplay, the game doesn't require a Microsoft account to play. Oh, thank God. However, to get to the full cross-platform experience, such as cross-progression, you'll need an account. I don't like that, but it does kind of make sense. Unless, of course, you're just, like, say, you and a friend are playing on PlayStation or playing on Steam. It's like, then that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But at least they're being upfront and honest about that. This isn't like a Helldivers 2 situation with Sony where, oh yeah, eventually we'll need a PSN account. Oh, what's that? We're just going to go ahead and kill the momentum of this game in order to put it in another TOS to control our audience. Oh, okay. No, yeah, where did everybody go? Other features of the game include HDR support, Dolby Vision, and 7.14 Atmos. Okay, yeah, all the bog standard stuff, spatial audio, variable refresh rates, 4K assets, remastered textures, enhanced post-processing visual effects, improved shadows, reflections, just bug standard stuff that you would expect from a modern day remake. And speaking of the campaign, the game's frame rate is limited to just 60 in the mode. Oh, okay, multiplayer. Players can experience the game at 120 FPS. 60 is fine. I would prefer it to be much higher, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense why, if you're going to be building something from the ground up, and if you're going to have that tied to frame rate, or if you're just going to have it capped, it's like, why would you do that? Anyways, lastly, those who own the digital version of 2015's Ultimate Edition. Shit, that came out a decade ago. Fuck, can upgrade to Reloaded at no extra cost. Players will gain immediate access to all the post-launch downloadable content at no additional cost. And that includes the bonus campaign act, all multiplayer maps and modes, and a full roster of classic characters and cosmetics unlockable through progression. Holy shit, that's actually like a really good value for only $40. But honestly, I think it's the first of many dominoes to fall. And as Grums points out right here, Gears of War coming to PlayStation is a complete admission of Xbox failure. Game Pass numbers aren't getting the growth that they expected. They wanted Netflix paid billions to acquire studios to stuff it with exclusive content, only to have to abandon it all and go multi-platform. Because, yeah, man, that was a gamble. That was a gamble that they set out on when they first introduced the Game Pass, and we've seen the numbers, we've heard the calls, and I've covered them before, how they've stagnated for the past couple of years. These streaming services, okay, like, I'm not going to take it away. When it comes to, value for the customer, they're tremendous, but their long-term viability from, these studios, from these companies, that if they didn't have a bottomless money spring, okay? We heard recently that Apple, on Apple Plus, when it comes to movies and, their little exclusive streaming platform. They have lost $1 billion on streaming. I think it was just in the past year, but they're massively in the red when it comes to Apple Plus. But if they didn't have Apple money, they wouldn't continue to do that for prestige and influence. Same with Amazon, the most expensive TV show in history, the $1 billion flop that was Rings of Power. If it wasn't backed by Amazon, that wouldn't be going forward with a third season, guaranteed. But Microsoft, they can afford to stick in the streaming business, even though Game Pass has practically flatlined. They continue to buy up studios and then shut them down after releasing games that don't really do anything. They can fork over 9 digits for a project like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and it be talked about by everybody. Oh, it's so fantastic for a month, and then everybody forgets that it happens. And oh yeah, that's another project that's coming over to PlayStation very, very shortly. I forget the release date on that one, but that was announced not that long ago. There's a reason that Microsoft announced those egregious price hikes on all of their hardware, because hey, they sell a couple of consoles. That's neither here nor there. What they're trying to do is get on the most platforms possible, sell the most subscriptions that they can, and if that ultimately doesn't work, if they just end up becoming the Sega channel of old, Microsoft can stop this great gaming experiment and forcing Windows upgrades on people that don't want them to begin with. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.